I have returned with more autographs. So as a brief recap for any newcomers to this whole project, I'm working on a two-part sort of project called Operation Shut Up and Kingdom Hearts Yearbook. And Kingdom Hearts Yearbook is I'm trying to get the autographs of all the voice actors who worked on the English version of Kingdom Hearts to sign this copy of the character files. And if you don't know what the character files is, it is a book. It has profiles, pictures, descriptors of every single character within Kingdom Hearts up until Kingdom Hearts 3. So it does not have anything about Dark Road or Melody of Memories. I've met a handful of voice actors, which you could see in part 1, where I extensively talk about it for a full hour. So if you have an hour to waste, definitely recommend. But here in this video, we're talking about the next batch of voice actors that I've met. There was a bit of a break from when I met Kirk Thornton, which was the last voice actor that I met at GalaxyCon in Sandusky, Ohio. About a month had passed, and in that month gap is when I recorded the first part, and then I was like, all right, there's going to be a little bit of a gap between the next con, so I'll put out the first part, and then from here on out will be whoever makes it for part 2. So to kick off the second batch of voice actors that I've met, I made my way to Fort Wayne, Indiana, and attended a Transformers convention called Botcon. Now, the thing about me is I've seen maybe the first 2 live action Transformers movies with like Shia LaBeouf. I'm not a big Transformers like fan. I don't have anything against Transformers. It's just never been like my cup of tea. But there was a bunch of voice actors who did voices for various Transformers roles, and one of them just so happened to be a Kingdom Hearts voice actor. Now, anybody who knows their voice actors is probably thinking of a certain individual. I will say that you're wrong. I did get to meet that individual, but it was actually not at that con. Spoiler, I'm spoiling my own video here. The voice actor I'm talking about is Greg Berger. And if you don't know what role he played, well, first off, let me say, because this actually caught me by surprise, because I didn't know this until I was doing additional research into his background and his history and whatnot. He is the voice of Jet from Final Fantasy X. So in your mind, you're thinking like, oh, he was Jet, and he's a very like athletic, muscular, meathead type of dude, right? And you're probably thinking, I'm like, okay, what character from Kingdom Hearts is this guy gonna be that he's this star athlete from Xanarkand? Well, I'm here to tell you that he was none other than Eeyore. Yep, that's right. Meathead Jet from Xanarkand Final Fantasy X also voiced Eeyore in Kingdom Hearts 2. I made my way down to Indiana. I met Greg. He's a great guy. We had he actually had a conversation as Eeyore where he was saying that within the Eeyore voice that he was just looking for some thistle to build up his little like house, and then all of a sudden this like spiky hair he initially said that it was a Final Fantasy character. He's like this spiky haired Final Fantasy character, and then he corrected himself because he's like, oh wait, it's not Final Fantasy because it's Kingdom Hearts, because he's talking about Sora. He's like, this spiky haired Kingdom Hearts guy just shows up out of nowhere, and then he has his key and whatnot. So it was like funny to hear Eeyore's perspective of his very like deep monotone voice just being like very unenthusiastic that Sora just showed up. So on top of getting the autograph, I also asked him about the project, the Shut Up project, Operation Shut Up, and he was down for it. I got a video of him, so here's the video.
Eeyore here. Shut up.
But yeah, overall, my impressions of Botcon, from a perspective of somebody who's not like a diehard Transformers fan, it was definitely pretty fun. Like, not gonna lie, like they had a cosplay contest in like the main area. It's like a very small venue. This is hands down the smallest venue that I've been to con-wise. But they had a cosplay contest. They were doing like a raffle. They had a little dealer's artist alley room. It was like all combined into one. So I would imagine that if you're more in the Transformer sphere, you would have had the time of your life. Me, I had a good time. You know, I hung around for a bit, but overall, you know, it's not my thing. but I could definitely see other people who are fans of Transformers loving it. So definitely would recommend checking out Botcon if you're ever in the area. Moving on from Botcon, we make our way to Chicago for Anime Midwest. Honestly, the timing of this could not have been more perfect. The fact that I was able to do this literally like within proximity of the last voice actor that I met in the first batch, it honestly, my mind, I'm still blown how perfect this was and how this was able to line up. Quentin Flynn, the voice actor of Axel, was there. So not only did I get to meet Syax, which was performed by Kirk Thornton at GalaxyCon in Sandusky, Ohio. I went to Chicago, Illinois, so a completely other side when it comes to the States, like from the general range where I said like Pennsylvania being the farthest, Illinois being on the other side. Like that's my range right there. So go from like nearly one side to the other. Dun, 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 dun. I got his autograph. And I also got a video as well.
Quentin Flynn here, aka Axel Lee. Looking at you, looking at me. Shut up, Isa. You got that memorized? I thought so. Hey, I'm so flattered that you'd asked me to do this, and so grateful to have met you.
So you can imagine my excitement when I had the Syax video, right? I had that video already within my possession, and then here I am to meet Axel, and I'm just like, this is too perfect. Like the stars really aligned for this one. It would have been more perfect, honestly, if it was like back to back, where it was like Kirk Thornton and then Quentin Flynn, but then, you know, Eeyore got in the middle. But to be honest, you know, we know Eeyore's the real MVP of Kingdom Hearts anyways, so we could definitely give Eeyore a pass for sure. So for those of you who don't know, Axel is one of my all-time favorite Kingdom Hearts characters. We got Axel, the Master of Masters, Strelitzia. Those are my top three. And so to be able to meet the voice actor and then tell him like my appreciation for his work and how much I just adore Axel as a character, it really puts it into perspective of like this whole project of being able to just not only meet the voice actors, but being able to like tell them like, thank you for bringing the character to life, you know, coming in every time they ask for him to come in, and not just specifically Quentin Flynn, just like all of them, because this is something that I've made it a point to show appreciation for every voice actor, and I want to let them know like, thank you from like the bottom of my heart for working on such an amazing project. So something else that you might have noticed from the first part is that the background has changed. The room is still the same room, it's just at a different angle. I've moved the desk, and I purposely did this because I wanted to show off the posters. When I go to these cons, I always pick up prints. Artist Alley is my favorite area to explore within any con. I picked up a few prints from this con, and I wanted to highlight the artists and which one specifically. The last video, I put them all towards the end. This one, I'm going to do it section to section. From this con, Anime Midwest, we picked up this print here. It's of Crystal, Kyrie, and Antiform Sora. I got this Strelitzia with Chirithy, and then this one is Shion and Namine. I also got this one right here of Sora replicating the Chain of Memories cover art, but it's all Smash characters, and he's wearing his Kingdom Hearts 3 outfit. So while it isn't Kingdom Hearts, I did pick up a few other prints that I wanted to show off for any of my One Piece fans out there. I will forewarn, some of these do have spoilers. So we've got this one of this scene from Arlong Park, which it's everyone's first taste of like what One Piece is once you get to this moment with Nami. This is my all-time favorite arc of Water 7 Ines Lobby. This moment with Robin, this is when you truly know, when you get to this point, this is when you know that you're in it for the long haul when it comes to One Piece. Like, because there's no way that you can see, okay, there's no way that you can go from the beginning of that arc to the end, and that this being the middle point, like right here. And if you are not convinced that One Piece is for you, then I do not know what anime you're watching, because it's definitely not One Piece. I will say that much. It's so hard for me to picture anybody who gets to that part and just is not like in it for the long haul. Like, such a masterpiece. Such a masterpiece. It's a beautiful arc. There's never been another arc better than Water 7 Enies Lobby. And to top it all off, the best One Piece film out of all the One Piece films, One Piece Film Red. The soundtrack is phenomenal. The animation, everything about this movie is so well done. These are literally like, so Arlong Park was one of my top 3 favorite arcs for a while, until I got to Whole Cake and Dressrosa, and then those became my Dressrosa became number 2, Whole Cake became number 3. But let me get off One Piece, because I'm just as obsessed about One Piece as I am with Kingdom Hearts. Moving on to the next group of voice actors. And I say this as I've met more than just the one voice actor. So these last 2 cons, only one. This con had I already said it earlier, but my other favorite Kingdom Hearts character, we have none other than Ray Chase himself, the master of masters. Not only did I get to meet the voice actor of my all-time favorite character, I also got to meet the voice actor of my second all-time favorite voiced character. It's crazy how perfectly all this aligned. Like, I said that it was the fact that we got Saïx and Axel together, and then right after Axel is the Master of Masters. But not only did I get to meet the Master of Masters, Luxu, Max Middleman himself, was also there. So we have both the Master of Masters and Luxu. And in my mind, I was like, these are the people I want the video request of the most. And they, oh my God, they pulled through.
Luxu, I, as the Master of Masters, have this beautiful keyblade for you. It has my eye in it.
Wow. Wait, what? Your eye?
Yeah.
Ew! That's gross!
You think that's gross, do you? Well, take it!
Shut up.
No, you shut up!
No, you shut up.
Shut up!
My mindset going into this was like, usually you have to wait in each person's line and you make the request saying like, hey, I want to, can I ask you to do this video? I get to tell them the whole background, the premise, the, concept of it all. And so I actually was in Max Middleman's line first. And when I got to him, I got his autograph, and then I pitched him the video idea of like, hey, I just want you to say shut up as Luxu. So I'm trying to remember, the details are a little fuzzy, but I did say something along the lines of like, I wanted to include Ray Chase into it, as where I was going to give Max Middleman my phone, and I was like, hey, can you just go up to Ray Chase as Luxu and like tell him to shut up? And I was going to go to Ray Chase and then give him my phone to go up to Max Middleman to tell him to shut up as the Master of Masters. But Max Middleman decided to just walk over to Ray Chase, tell him I wanted a video request of the both of them, and then brought Ray Chase over to Max Middleman's table and completely caught me off guard. Like, I was not prepared for that whatsoever, because my original idea was I was going to give the phone to one of them to go to the other one to say shut up. So on the fly, I'm just like, okay, all right, both of them are here, what can I do? I was like, well, there is only the one scene with the Master of Masters and Luxu, which is that scene from back cover where the Master of Masters is giving Luxu the no-name Keyblade. And I was like, okay, that's the scene. So I told them, I was like, all right, we're gonna do this scene where Master of Masters is giving the Keyblade to Luxu, and then Luxu's just gonna say like, ew, gross, and then you guys are just gonna tell each other to shut up. And they pretty much took that and then ran with it and did their whole spin to it, which was, it's always, I said this in the last video, that I just blows my mind how it's just a very simple request. I don't expect much, because I'm just like, hey, I have this project, I just, if you could say shut up within, as the character, that'd be great. But it always makes me ecstatic whenever they put on this performance and they go above and beyond for their request. It puts me over the moon of how of how jazzed this whole project has made me, and it makes me like want to continue it more and more. The fact to see what spin each voice actor is going to take on the request. But I did get a moment, because eventually after I left Max Middleman's line, I did move over to Ray Chase's. Oh God, my voice. I did move over to Ray Chase's line, and I got to talk to him a little bit about the role of Master of Masters, because my thing that I was so curious about, was there a given direction for him to talk the way that he talks? Like, it's a very Deadpool style, like, performance, and I was like, did they like tell you to talk like Deadpool? Like, what was the direction for that? And he was like, they just wanted me to match the vibe, like how the Master of Masters is moving, pretty much just match his cadence. He was telling me that with most characters, most performances, he puts on a type of voice to, you know, match the character. But when it came to the Master of Masters, he was just like, yeah, I just did my normal voice. And if you ever hear Ray Chase talk, it's literally just the Master of Masters. It was kind of crazy just to have a conversation and just hear the Master of Masters just full on without any sort of like deviation, just full on talk. And he said that he matched the vibe, and that was the voice, that was the performance he gave. He didn't have to change his voice, he just used his own voice, and they loved it and they used it. I, you know, expressed my gratitude, saying like, hey, I'm like so excited for what the future holds, to see where this goes and what you're gonna do as the Master of Masters. And he even said himself that he was super jazzed too, like he wants to know what's in the future for, you know, Kingdom Hearts 4, and then however many titles we get beyond that. All right, so moving on from Ray Chase, Master of Masters, Max Middleman, Luciu, we got to meet some Disney characters. So in the first part, I mentioned that I met Sean Astin, who was the voice of Hercules exclusively in the first Kingdom Hearts game. Because of the fact that Tate Donovan was not available, who is the main voice actor within the Hercules movie, he was not available to do Hercules for Kingdom Hearts 1, so they called Sean Astin, and he was able to come in and fulfill the role. They did get Tate Donovan for all future Kingdom Hearts titles, but Tate Donovan is not who I met. I met the third Hercules voice actor, Josh Keaton, and he is none other than young Hercules voice. Adult Hercules here has a different voice, which is Tate Donovan and Sean Astin, and then Josh Keaton here, who's also in the movie as well, played the younger Hercules. So not only do I have Sean Astin's autograph, I also now have Josh Keaton's autograph, and I need to get Tate Donovan's autograph to complete the Hercules collection. Which, again, when I started this project, not did I think that I was going to meet all three Hercules voice actors. Probably like maybe one of them at most. Stars aligning on that one, that I was able within like the same year, just a few months apart, was able to meet two of the three Hercules voice actors. And again, I almost feel like at this point it should be said that like every voice actor, I have expressed my gratitude. I have thanked them for their roles. So as I did with everybody else at this point, you know, I had a conversation with Josh. I let him know, hey, thanks for being you. Thanks for being Hercules. Hercules is actually my like one of my top 3 movies. So it's also, let alone the second favorite Kingdom Hearts character was there. The voice of my second, or no, I would say Hercules ranks number 3. It's in my top 3. It's Lion King, Hunchback, and then Hercules. So the fact that somebody from Hercules, let alone the Hercules, was there, I'm like, match made in heaven, match made in heaven. And also, you can see in my case here, which, oh, by the way, I have a case now, a big upgrade from the last video. I finally get to show off my addiction of collecting not only art prints, but Kingdom Hearts figures. And you know full well that I have a full, I don't even know what you would describe it. I almost want to say altar, but I feel like altar just makes me sound crazy. But I have an entire section dedicated to One Piece in a whole different room, and you can't see it, but behind you there's a whole bunch of mix mash of anime and video game posters. There's a whole Zelda wall over there that you can't even see, but you can see there at the bottom, I have a little Hercules pop figure. I do have more than just Hercules. I have Phil, I have Pegasus, and Meg. But I could only fit so many pop figures in there, which you can actually see. I have 2 Quasimodo pop figures, a Hercules pop figure, and a Simba one. Because I was like, all right, so to deviate on this a little bit, top part is every Kingdom Hearts that's not Kingdom Hearts 3. The second one is all Kingdom Hearts 3. This one is Donald, Goofy, and Mickey, and this one is everything else. So you have the World Ends With You characters, Final Fantasy, which you can't really see, but there's Auron. He's in there. Auron's my favorite Final Fantasy character. Pete's in there, Chirithy, Meow Wow, Chip Dale, and then the Disney characters. And I do have, I have the other Hercules pop figures. I have a few extra. I have Esmeralda from Hunchback, and I also have a different Simba, because the Simba that's in there is not a pop figure, it's just a regular toy that I found at Walmart. But I do have a Simba pop figure, as well as a bunch of other like Lion King toys that I could display but don't have the space to. So Simba is the representative that got fit in there, on top of the fact that a Simba pop wouldn't fit, so I had to put the smaller Simba toy in there to represent. Moving on, funny enough, as if I haven't been saying that the stars have been aligning for me this whole time, I also got to meet one of the voice actors of Simba. So this is Cam Clark. If for anybody who is aware, not the voice actor of Simba from the first Lion King movie, he was actually the voice actor of Simba in Lion King 2. But apparently, I didn't know this because he actually informed me on this while we were there. But the original voice actor, Matthew Broderick, from the first movie returned to the second movie. So half of it is Cam Clark and the other half is Matthew Broderick. And I think Cam Clark does like all the other like non-movie things for Simba, which he does for Kingdom Hearts 2. What also blew me away is the song you saw on the audio. Well, hold on, let me pull it back up here again. As somebody who's just a big Lion King fan, the fact that he wrote "We Are One," which is the name of a song from Lion King 2 that Simba sings to his daughter, and then he just started singing it. He just went into full song, and I was so blown away because I have been listening to that song for well over 2 decades, and now the guy who performs it in the movie is right in front of me. I didn't even ask him to do it. He just did it. And I was just so blown away because I just assumed that there was a second, like I thought there was actually like a singer, because sometimes they have the voice actor and the singer. I didn't know he was doing both, and he just belted out "We Are One," and I was over the moon. I was over the moon. Oh, it was such an amazing experience. Got to meet the Master of Masters, Mushu, Hercules, and Simba all in one day. It was so, I could not have asked for a better con to attend to. In case you guys were wondering why I haven't shown videos or talked about a video for either Hercules or Simba, the whole concept of going to a con, asking the talent to sign and do videos is a very like costly endeavor. I save up enough money per con to spend a certain amount, but the videos are one of those things that adds up. So I've made it a rule to only get 1 video per con. Now I did open a Patreon, so if anybody is interested in supporting the project and allowing me to ask for more videos, because that's essentially what the Patreon is going to go for. You know, you're not only are you supporting me in this channel, but obviously that fund is going to go towards this, which is part of the channel, and it's going to allow me to do more with the project. And whenever I go to these cons and potentially go to even other cons, because like I said, my range is from Illinois to Pennsylvania, and it's not even that much of Pennsylvania. It's like Chicago to Pittsburgh, which is even less of those states, and then Ohio, Indiana, Michigan. Like that's my range currently. Like I'm not able to go outside of that, but the more this project grows, the more I'm able to travel, and then the more voice actors I can meet, and the more cool videos and stories I can accumulate. So make sure to go down to the description. It would be the first link in the description box, and I appreciate anybody who supports me in any way, shape, or form. Even if it's not with the Patreon, even if you're just sharing, liking, commenting, interacting with the video, helps out a bunch as well. So I will say, there was a bit of a sour note with all the perfect stuff that happened at this con. honestly, like I'm still ecstatic over everything that happened. There was supposed to be a fifth voice actor I was going to meet, and that was Rob Paulson. Oh, did I even say what con this was? I don't think I did. It was Animate Columbus. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough time to get to his line, because by the time I got to his line, he had to go to a panel. And so I was like, okay, I didn't wait in his line. I went to Cam Clark's line. I got to meet Cam Clark. And then a few minutes later, I came back, or maybe it was like about 30 minutes later, I came back. And by the time I got to Rob Paulson's line, the staff actually said they were cutting off the line because Rob Paulson was getting ready to leave. And I was like, no. This is the first time that I went to a con where I wasn't able to meet the voice actor, one of the voice actors that I wanted to meet, which again, I got to meet 4 amazing voice actors. So not being able to see one wasn't the end of the world. It was unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is. So unfortunately, I missed out on meeting Rob Paulson, which, by the way, I guess I haven't even explained what character he played. He was the Grand Duke and Jacques from Cinderella, and he actually performs those roles, I think, in the Cinderella sequels. I didn't get to get his autograph, unfortunately, at that convention. Things can't always go 100%, you know, perfectly, but it went 90% perfectly, and I'll take that. So I did get a handful of prints from this con as well. So I didn't get any Kingdom Hearts prints. I didn't see any at this con, but I got prints from some of my favorite animes. We have the B Team from Yu Yu Hakusho, and I was, again, I keep saying this, but I was blown away. I was over the moon to see this, because these are characters that do not get a lot of representation, and that is the one thing that I love about the Artist Alley, is being able to see artwork for animes and characters you never see any representation for whatsoever. The moment I saw that, I had to get it right away. Yu Yu Hakusho was my #1 favorite anime of all time until One Piece, and I have a few things of Yu Yu Hakusho, but a lot of them are the main characters, the main 4 boys, and I've only found one with Botcon. This is the first time I've seen anything featuring any of these characters, and I was so happy. So happy. I love to see the representation. I did have a Ruby. I'll have to post the picture, because I don't know where it is. I must have put it somewhere else and not within this pile. Sun from Ruby was one of my favorite characters. They had a little print of him as well that somebody had made, which again, another series that I don't see a lot of representation for, and if there is, it's never of the other characters. Sun is one of those secondary characters. He needs more attention, and I was so excited to have something Sun related in my possession. There's a few other posters that I have up on the wall right now that aren't very easy for me to grab, but there is an Attack on Titan poster, and I have actually a handful of Attack on Titan posters, but this one really blew me away. I'm looking at it right now, so that's why I'm not looking at the camera. It's depicting the scene with like adult Eren with Zeke going through the memories of his past, and he's seeing like the younger version of himself just like looking, like making eye contact. And that, like, every Attack on Titan poster that I have is just the generic artwork, like the promotional artwork, and it's fine, you know, it is what it is. It's Attack on Titan. But this is the first time I saw something and I was just like, that is just like, that is just so perfect. Like that artwork, that moment, the art style, everything about it was just immaculate. I was like, I have to get it. I have to get it. The other artwork that I have is one of the, I guess, are they main characters? I would assume that they're main characters of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. It's Nemona, Arven, and Penny, and then Mabosstiff is there with Arven, of course. And this was also something where I'm like, I don't really see a lot of artwork for these characters, but these characters are like newer, so that was my kind of mindset. It was like, they'll eventually have artwork because they're super popular, so there's no way they're not going to have artwork. And sure enough, I found it and I was like, I have to get it. I loved Scarlet and Violet. Scarlet and Violet is definitely within my top 3 Pokemon games. Black and White always will remain #1. I would say Scarlet and Violet would be #2, and then Legends of Arceus would be #3, which is funny because I used to dislike Legends Arceus until I actually like gave it a fair shake, and I I ended up falling in love with it. But I am super excited to see what the new Legends game is going to be. It's unfortunate that because, as I said, I'm a fan of Gen 5 and we went straight from 4 to 6. So now I'm just like, I'm excited for the new Legends game, but I'm just like, where's Unova? Like, what are you doing with Unova? Like, please, I need more Unova content. And so, of course, for me saying that it was one of my favorite animes, you know I had to get some One Piece artwork. Can't ever not get One Piece artwork when I see good One Piece artwork. And these actually were made by the same artist who made the Attack on Titan print. But it's this of Year 5 Luffy in all of his different goofy faces. And you can kind of see here, it's just regular Luffy and then Gear 4th. But too perfect, too perfect. The art style, the line work, the details, it's so good. It's so well detailed. He did such a phenomenal job. And this artist also designed the artwork on the badges himself. We got the crew: Nami, Frankie, Luffy, Usopp, Sanji, Chopper, Brook, Zoro, Jinbei, and Robin. Oh, I almost forgot. There was another piece of art that I bought that had an orange cat on it with a ribbon that said an absolute unit. And that's currently hanging up in the living room, which I also can't grab. But it was too perfect for anybody who's watched any videos of like my camera actually being on will see the two orange cats, Macaroni and Rigatoni, being menaces. Especially in the last trivia video that I posted, they were going off on something fierce. They're actually not going to be in this video. They were once again being menaces, so I ended up evicting them from the room. So unfortunately, you won't get any cat content in this video. All right, so I'm gonna go on a slight tangent. Not like I haven't been like deviating this whole time, as I do, because I just can't function and just communicate normally. I have to go on like side stories and whatnot. A friend of mine wanted to go to a con, and it actually wasn't a con that I had any interest in attending. It was the really cool Comic Con in Flint, Michigan. They wanted to go and get some autographs of One Piece voice actors. I'm mostly just interested in the Kingdom Hearts, Blood Blockade, Final Fantasy X. So none of those voice actors were there. Oh, and the secret fourth one that I'll get to eventually. But I still went, you know, I tagged along. One of the voice actors for Crocodile apparently did the voice of a Dragon Ball Z character. And not only did they have done the work, the voice of this character, they also had artwork of this character. It was Farmer with a Shotgun. I saw this and I was like, there's no way. There's no way I cannot get this. Like, the voice actor of Farmer with a Shotgun, which apparently there's been 3 voice actors. So now this is also on the list to get this fully signed by every voice actor of Farmer with a Shotgun. It's just too perfect. Like, Farmer with a Shotgun, best Dragon Ball character, hands down. And then John Swayze was the voice actor, which ironically enough, like I said, big One Piece fan, but I had to get Farmer with a Shotgun. This is one of my prizest of prized possessions right here. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say on that. The con itself, as the name implies, was really cool. It was a pretty small con. It was interesting because it was in like a gymnasium of sorts. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's essentially like it feels like one of those venues that you graduate in. That's what it felt like. And like the artist alley, dealer's room, and like where the autograph booths were all in a basketball court, which was a very interesting. It was like an auditorium. It was in an auditorium, but we weren't in a school. I don't think. Maybe we were in a school. I don't think so. I think it was just some sort of like a type of convention center, but it had an auditorium, and it was the kind that most people tend to graduate in or do graduation ceremonies in. I honestly couldn't tell you. It was interesting, a very unique setup. Definitely would check it out if you're in the area for next year. All right, so moving on. The next convention I attended was another fan expo. So the one where I met Sean Astin and Fred Tassacor, Jody Benson, was at Fan Expo Cleveland. This time I went to Fan Expo Chicago, and This line, I kid you not, this line that I waited in was hands down the longest line I've single-handedly at this point had to wait for any voice actor, mostly because they had to leave in the middle of me being in the line. But the line was already incredibly long because this is a voice actor, a talent who does not appear at a lot of conventions, and he's also been around for a very long time. And I did kind of mention it slightly in the beginning when I was talking about Greg Berger, is that this is one of the Transformers voice actors that you might have been thinking of. The voice actor was none other than Frank Welker. Now, as I mentioned with the Greg Berger, the Botcon, not a fan of Transformers, right? This line was huge. So I get it. It's Megatron. Megatron's the main antagonist, the biggest antagonist of Transformers. So of course he's going to have a lot of buzz. And not only was he there, but Peter Cullen was also there. They were literally like right next to one another doing autographs, and both of their lines was crazy long. So when I went to this convention, there was a handful of voice actors I wanted to meet, and I saw the length of the line, and I had to like hop in to Frank Welker's line. I waited in this long line, and I'm going to emphasize this because most wait times I've only had to wait is maybe like half an hour. I was in this line for 3 hours. I was dedicated to this project. If that doesn't prove to you how dedicated I am to this project, I waited in line for 3 hours to meet Frank Welker, who not even for because he's Megatron, but because he was a boo. He was a boo in Kingdom Hearts. He was a boo. But hold on. Not only was he a boo from Aladdin, he was also Experiment 221 Sparky, who showed up in Birth by Sleep and only in the Terra story. I waited 3 hours to meet the voice actor of Sparky and Abu. And I will say he was fantastic to talk to. I had a great time, but he was super cool. We talked for a little bit. He was super jazzed to see the picture of Abu. It's always kind of the reaction with a lot of the voice actors when they see this book. They don't expect like a Disney character or like a side character to be in the book. But when I show them their page and like, your character is in here, and they're just like, oh my god, look, there he is. So he was pretty actually excited that Abu is in the book, which again, it's like, I don't know how many people go up to him because he was Abu in the movies. So it's like, I don't know how many people go up to him for Abu. I imagine I'm probably one of the very few. I imagine most people probably go up for other roles, including Abu, but I mostly was there like Abu and Sparky. Probably fewer people for Sparky. But yeah, no, I waited like an hour in that line. He had left to go do a photo shoot or a panel of some sort, and he was gone for an hour, and then he came back, and it took me another hour of waiting. So even if he hadn't left, I would have been in this line for 2 hours, which is still an hour and a half longer than I would have ever anticipated to be in anybody's line. You know what's crazy too is Mark Hamill was actually at this convention, and Mark Hamill is the voice of Ericus from Birth by Sleep, but his autograph would have cost like $300 or $400. I'll put up the price, specifically how much it would have cost. And the thing is, if I can only afford to do one video per convention, no way would I be able to just go and get one autograph unless I'm somehow just like set. Like if Patreon was booming, I would have done it. I would have done it. I don't know that I could have gotten the video though, because that probably would have been another $400. I would have probably just gotten the autograph and been content with it. But to add on to not getting able to meet Rob Paulson, I didn't get to meet Mark Hamill, which also I guess technically goes in the same vein because I I said I couldn't meet Christopher Lloyd for the exact same reason, because of the money situation, because I'm like, there was already so many people I was there for. I had to like stay within the budget. I don't think Mark Hamill goes to like a lot of conventions either, so I think that was one of those things where I'm like, I probably had my one chance, and hopefully I'll have another chance, but I guess we'll see. So after waiting in 3 hours for Frank Welker, Mr. Abu, Mr. Sparky, I made my way over a few tables down, and there was a certain villain of the series, none other than Mr. Pete the Cat. Pete the Cat, Jim Cummings, the voice of Tigger, Pooh, Ed, Pete, and Julius from Dream Drop Distance. So as much as I would have loved to get multiple autographs, the budget was kind of the thing. To do 4 autographs was definitely going to break budget. So I just decided to do the 1 autograph, and I just got Pete's autograph. Luckily, the line was not as long as Frank Welker's. It took me less than 30 minutes. I went through the line, had a conversation with Jim Cummings, got my autograph, and went on my way. Now, the thing with this convention is this was the first time I actually flew into a convention, because the tickets to get to Chicago were actually really cheap for this weekend. And I was only there for 1 day. So that unfortunately cut my time short by a couple hours. Usually I would stay within the convention for like until the end of the convention, or like near the end of the convention. Flying, I had to leave early. Luckily, like, we weren't too far away from the airport. It's like right next to the Chicago airport. But unfortunately, by the time that I got, and I mind you, I got to the convention like maybe an hour after it had opened, and the voice actors weren't at their tables right away, so like maybe another hour had passed. I waited the 3 hours in Frank Welker's line. I did 30 minutes at Jim Cummings' line. So at that point, my time was running low. There were 3 other voice actors I wanted to meet, and I was only gonna have time to meet 1, maybe 2 of those voice actors, depending on how quickly those lines went. So the other voice actors were Roger Craig Smith, who, yes, is the voice of Sonic, which would have been perfect because Kirk Thornton was the voice of Shadow. But not was I going to meet Roger Craig Smith for Sonic. Roger Craig Smith is the voice of the Green Army toy, one of the Green Army toys from the Toy Story world, and he was the CDA agent from the Monsters Inc. world. Top tier, like, most well-known, everyone knows characters, Little Green Army Man and CDA agent, which again would have been funny to go up to somebody and be like, hey, remember this like super small role? Like, can I please get your autograph because you were this character? And then Mr. Rob Paulson was also there. So you'd have to imagine, I was like, the stars have aligned once again. Rob Paulson, I'm gonna be able to meet Rob Paulson this time. And not only was Rob Paulson there, but Maurice LaMarche was also there, who is the voice of Brain. So we got Pinky and we got Brain. Unfortunately, I only got to meet 1 of these voice actors. And it was not Rob Paulson. Because Rob Paulson was going to be attending another convention that I was planning to go to. So in my mind, I was like, okay, if I don't meet Rob Paulson here, if I don't have time to meet him, I will meet him at the other convention. So I looked at my options, and I saw that the line for Maurice wasn't too long, so I hopped in Maurice's line. And for anyone who is not aware of what Brain from Pinky of the Brain, Maurice LaMarche, plays in Kingdom Hearts, it was one of the Beagle Boys from Dream Drop Distance. And you can see it says BD number 2, because he was saying that on his residual checks, it was signed as BD number 2. So, I'm sorry, not BD, BB number 2, Beagle Boy number 2. And he was Not the short one. He was the medium one. Could I tell you which one is the medium between the left or the right? I cannot. I have no idea. I'm sorry. But the other two, the tall and the short one, were voiced by Jeff Bennett, who also voices like a bajillion other characters within Kingdom Hearts. So we actually had the conversation about that where he's like talking about Jeff Bennett and how like they were recorded together and it was like so much fun. But yeah, overall, he was a very fantastic guy to get to talk to. He's one of those voice actors that stands in front of the table instead of being behind the table, which is not something you see a lot. Most of them tend to stay behind the table, which is fine. You know, everyone goes about it how they want to go about it. Him and also Rob Paulsen were very like, we want to be in front of the table, you know, make eye contact, be able to like, you know, hug, shake hands or whatnot without any sort of barrier, which I thought was really cool. So we had like a small conversation and I went on my way with my Beagle Boy #2 autograph. So the Roger Craig Smith line, I actually did not visually see. I just assumed, I kind of saw it at like a far away glance and it looked like a lot of people were like kind of conglomerated around his area, so I just kind of took it as like more than likely that's his line. It could be a different crowd, but chances are very low. Rob Paulsen is right next to Maurice, so I was like, let me go wait into Rob Paulsen's line. I started to wait. The time kept ticking and I eventually only had about an hour left. And realistically, I probably could have stayed longer. I just always am so paranoid when it comes to getting on planes that I want to get there as early as I can at a reasonable time. So I did make my flight back, I will say. I didn't miss my flight, but I had about an hour left at the convention at Fan Expo. So I waited a bit in Rob Paulsen's line. And then I bit the bullet and I was like, you know what? I don't think it's going to happen. It's okay because he's going to be at the next convention. I don't think I'm going to have a chance to meet Roger Craig Smith, who was also supposed to be at this same convention. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go walk around the dealer's room, the artist alley, buy a few things, and then head on to the airport. So unfortunately, second attempt to meet Rob Paulsen ended in a failure. I didn't get to meet him. I also didn't get to meet CDA Man or Little Green Army Man, but I did walk away with some new prints. Unfortunately, no Kingdom Hearts. I didn't see anything Kingdom Hearts that caught my eye this time around, but I did find one of my all-time favorite memes. Mother, I wish for some crab rangoon. I wish for the crab rangoon. I love this. I love this so much. This is beautiful. It's beautiful. I love this. I love this so much. And as I said, I've got a whole Zelda wall off to the side. And Majora's Mask is one of my favorite entries in the Zelda franchise. That it's got all the other side. It's got some of the side. It's got Tingle on it. Like, how could I pass that up? All right. So from Fan Expo Chicago, I actually went to another Fan Expo, but in Toronto. And this was in Fan Expo Canada. This was by far the worst con I've ever gone to. Oh my god, this whole experience, like it was just okay. So, as I mentioned in the first part, I live really close to Detroit. Now, Detroit to Toronto is about a 4-hour drive. Okay. And I double checked for where the venue was. I was like, all right, 4 hours. That's just barely my limit. Like I could do 4 hours. 4 hours one way. So I'd have to do another 4 hours back. So I was like, okay, I will wake up early. I will head on out and I'll get this knocked out. I'll get there as soon as the con starts. That didn't happen. I woke up an hour later than I wanted to. So by the time I made breakfast, left, I was already an hour behind schedule. I put the address in my GPS and it said it was going to take me about 5.5 hours to get there. And I was like, what the what? Like it's a 4-hour drive. Why is it going to take me 5.5 hours? I guess there was a lot of traffic. I should have anticipated it, but I didn't. So I was like, okay, I am already Oh, it'll be 2.5 hours behind schedule, but it's not the end of the world. I'll still make it. I'll still get there. I don't know if any of you guys have drove in Toronto before. It's not fun. I have driven in Toronto, but I haven't been downtown Toronto. I've been like on the outskirts of Toronto where it has been very hectic. There's so many people walking, there's so many people driving. This is the first time being in downtown Toronto, and I experienced another hour and a half of a delay of just trying to inch myself closer and closer to the convention center. Only to get to the convention center to find out that all the parking that was around was completely unavailable. Of course, because, you know, it's a big convention. Realistically, like, it's very scarce to find spots a lot of times when you're super close. So usually you go like the next block over and you find it. No, not in Toronto, because not only was it the fact that Fan Expo was happening, it's just Toronto was happening. Just Toronto on a weekend was happening. So everyone was out and about doing their thing, plus the people at Fan Expo. This is not something that I have ever experienced with any of the conventions I've gone to. Usually it's like, it's busy, you manage to make something work. I had to venture a little bit further down. Eventually I found parking, and it was in such like a weird spot because I missed the area to turn into, so I had to go a few blocks down to turn into this parking lot to come back around, and then I had to make like a left turn to get out of it, and that took forever because there's public transport that crosses through where the sidewalk where pedestrians walk through. There's barely anywhere to make the turn specifically, so you had to just wait, and there was so much time. It took so much longer than 4 hours. But eventually I parked. I walked to the convention center, and I was promptly told to turn back around because you do not enter the convention center from the convention center. You enter the convention center from the parking lot that I had walked past to get to the convention center, which was a block away from the convention center. And I was like, okay, that's weird, but whatever. So I walked to the parking lot. Now, mind you, it's not the same parking lot that I parked in. This was just a different, like, in between. Like, there's the parking lot I parked in, there was this parking lot, and then the convention center. But the thing with this parking lot is it was blocked off, and it had like a Fan Expo sign in it. But I was not aware that in order for me to get my badge to enter the convention, I had to go walk in through the entryway to this parking structure, which was underground. Not above ground, underground. There's people who had tables set up, and they're like, yeah, just follow the ramp that cars drive on, which, mind you, was blocked off, so no cars were coming. But it was meant for cars, not for people. You had to walk down this ramp and just wind your way all the way to the bottom. And then there were the booths to get your badge. And I was like, what is this? Like, what in the underground? What is this? Like, why is this underground? Like, what's going on here? I get my badge, and then I keep moving forward, and it just opens up to the dealer's room. The dealer's room, artist alley, just underground in Toronto. I was like, okay, I guess. What I didn't realize is that the convention center that I walked to was one of the two buildings. So this underground level was connected to one building, and that was a different building. But you couldn't get into the second building unless you had a badge, and you couldn't get a badge unless you went underground in the first building to the basement floor. Okay, so I was like, all right, whatever. I've wasted so much time. Let me just go straight to the talent. Let me get their autographs, all right? I started walking around the dealer's room, the artist alley. I don't see the tables. I'm like, all right, where are these guys? Like, there's a bunch of them. Like, how do I not see them whatsoever? So then I asked one of the people, the volunteers that work there, and I was like, hey, where are the signings at? Oh, it's in the second building. The building that I tried to get into but couldn't get into because I had to get into this building in order to grab my badge to just get into the convention. And he was telling me that if you just follow the escalators and you go up 7 flights, and it goes 7 flights of floors, there's a walkway. You take that walkway and you go down 2 flights, 2 floors, you go down 2 floors. And I was like, okay, that's weird, but whatever. So as packed as Toronto was outside, it was also very packed in this convention center. And the escalators, some of them were broken. So it kind of got to the point where we all had to funnel into one escalator, slowly but surely climbed up 7 floors. Made my way all the way to the tippy top. Now, mind you, I probably could have just left the way I came in, walked across the street to the second entrance to the building and gone in that way. But I didn't think about that because I thought this was going to be faster because I thought I was just going to go. I thought this was not going to take that long. It took me quite a while. I don't even know how long it took me. It just took me a long time to get to the top floor. I walked across, I went down, and I saw it. It opened up the second floor, the second building's floor, which was unique because there's 2 dealer's rooms. So there's the dealer's room in the first building. There's a dealer's room in the second building. It's a lot smaller in the second one, but they had all the tables set up for the voice actors. I was like, oh, I finally made it. So I get in, I walk up to the first voice actor, which actually was Josh Gad, the voice of Olaf. So I finally walked up to the first to the first table, to Josh Gad's table. And there was a sign that said cash only. And I was like, okay, let me go to another voice actor, just wait in their line and come back to Josh Gad's line. I go to that next voice actor, cash only sign. Go to the next one, cash only sign. I've noticed everyone has a cash only sign. Nobody took card, so I had to go wait in line at the ATM to pull money out to pay for these autographs. That took another amount of time, a long amount of time, because a lot of people were pulling money out. I wasted so much time. If I ever go to another convention in Toronto, I am just staying the night. I'm so set on never doing just a 1-day trip to Toronto ever again. Especially if I have to do something like this where it's like multiple voice actors and I need like all the time that I can get. I finally get the money and I was there for 5 voice actors. Jennifer Hale was one of them. Jennifer Hale had already left because I was nearing the end of the con. I literally was in like the last 2 hours of the con. Jennifer Hale, voice of Cinderella and Aurora, had left for the day, and I think left for the rest of the con. I don't think she was there for Sunday. I usually tend to go on Saturdays because Saturdays, most cons tend to have longer hours. They start earlier and then they end the same time they do Friday, I think. Friday usually tends to have a later start. So Saturday is just like a more full time frame to just get everything I need to do. Jennifer Hale was gone. Roger Craig Smith was also going to be at this convention. As I said, from Fan Expo Chicago, he was going to be here. He did not show. He did not make an appearance. I guess maybe he might have got sick, maybe had different plans. He was not there. So I was like, okay. My remaining options were Josh Gad, Bradley D. Baker, who is the voice of Waka from the very first Kingdom Hearts game, and Mr. Rob Paulson himself. Like I said, he was going to be at the next convention, and this was the next convention. So when I finally got my money, I looked and I'm like, okay, Roger Craig Smith isn't here. Jennifer Hale's not here. These 3 are the last ones. I go up to Josh Gad because, like I said, Josh Gad, you don't see him at a lot of conventions. He had just walked away to do a panel. So it's like, okay. I looked at the other 2 options, which was Bradley D. Baker and Rob Paulson. And I was like, you know what? I got to get in Rob Paulson's line. I have already missed out on him twice. I have to get him this time. And sure enough, I actually finally got to meet Rob Paulson. Oh, I usually cannot believe just the amount of time, just the fact that I missed this guy 2 other times. And I was like, you know what? This is the moment. This is the moment I have to meet. I have to do it. I have to make sure I have to secure the Rob Paulsen meeting. So Rob Paulsen is the Grand Duke from Cinderella. And then he's also Jacques from Cinderella. And I was able to get a video of Rob Paulsen in both Jacques and the Grand Duke.
I hope this thing is on. Hello, everybody, it's Jacques. That's right, Jacques from Cinderella and Kingdom Hearts. And I have only one thing to say to all you lovely people out there. Shut up! But I mean that with all due respect. And then, of course, they may not know it, but I am the Grand Duke. And with all due respect, shut up. Oh, and Carl Weezer would like to say, this idiot will get off the PA system. Let your heart be your...
Guiding key.
What?
May your heart be your guiding key.
All right, let me try it again. I'm stupid. Mrs. Neutron's on my mind. Let your heart be your guiding key. And shut up.
And also, Carl Weezer. He truly was a blast to talk to. Like with Maurice, he also stood in front of the table. We had like a full conversation because he's from Michigan, I'm from Michigan. So we talked about Michigan for a bit. I told him the idea. I was like, hey, can I just get you to say shut up in character? And so he went ahead, he did it as both. And then I also, before he started recording, was like, could I get Carl Weezer to say, may your heart be your guiding key? Because I was like, that would be such like a nice surprise, because everyone's like, Carl Weezer, like everyone loves Carl Weezer. And it's just... He said the Jimmy's mom thing. Hey, your heart be your guiding key. I didn't tell him to say shut up as Carl Weezer, but he did it anyways. Again, another voice actor who went above and beyond. Unfortunately, that ends the good part of the rest of this con. So the con was bad, bad, bad. Good, I met Rob Paulsen finally. And then bad, bad, bad on more. When I left Rob Paulsen's line, Bradley D. Baker had just left. So I barely just missed. I mean, he was literally like 2 tables down from Rob Paulsen. I saw him, like I visually saw him. I'm like, okay, Bradley D. Baker's next. Bradley D. Baker is next. Because his line was short at the time because it was getting close to the end of the con. And he had walked away. By the time I got there, he was not there. So I missed out on getting Waka's voice actor. I went to Josh Gad. Josh Gad had also left. So out of the 5 voice actors I wanted to see, I only got to meet one. Which, if there was one I got to meet, I was happy that it ended up being Rob Paulsen. Because, you know, that would have been bittersweet if after all this, I didn't get to meet any of them. I was like, if I had to at least meet one, I'm happy it was Rob Paulsen. And I got the video. I did, before I walked away from Josh Gad's table, I did ask if they were doing videos, like recordings, and they said that they weren't. So if there was anyone I was going to get a recording for, my goal would have been Rob Paulsen. So I was very happy to just get that interaction and get that like final meeting of him. But unfortunately, everything else prior to having to navigate the city and the convention center was just more and more time that got wasted. So I am definitely have learned my lesson and will be prepared to tackle Toronto effectively if I ever decide to go to another convention some point down the road. But yeah, heed my warning if you ever go to that convention center. I don't remember the name. I think it was like the Metro Toronto Convention Center. I'll put it up just in case I'm like incorrect. But just heed my warning. Be utterly prepared. Be so prepared. Take as much precaution. Give yourself as much time when it comes to that, because that was even trying to leave Toronto. I was literally in the middle of the road for so long because the cars in front of me weren't moving. The cars on the side of me were trying to pass and they couldn't because it was literally just like, I thought the line was moving. It wasn't moving. I messed up and then I was just stuck, and I couldn't get anywhere. I couldn't turn any other lanes. It was just I was so happy I'm not claustrophobic, because that would have been the most claustrophobic scenario, to just be like, I am surrounded by cars in every direction, north, south, east, west, north, all the angles, the different angles. Oh, It was a nightmare. That was a nightmare. Before I left, I forgot to mention this, but I did get a few prints from there. Again, no Kingdom Hearts prints. I didn't see anything Kingdom Hearts while I was there. Ironically enough, I was like, I don't need so many. Actually, let me take this out of the plastic here. I was like, I don't need a lot of the same types of posters. And then I saw this and I was like, I need to buy this because it's my favorite game, Majora's Mask. But it's because it features Link's mask forms, which I don't have anything that shows that, so it's like I had to get it. On top of that, it's Kingdom Hearts. Like, this is Kingdom Hearts. Like, okay, so I said I didn't get anything Kingdom Hearts, but this is the stained glass from Kingdom Hearts. I'm not angling this right. This is the only thing Kingdom Hearts that I saw that I was just like, dude, this is the best of both. This is my favorite, two of my favorite game franchises together right here. This is for sure Kingdom Hearts. You can't tell me that this isn't Kingdom Hearts. This is 100% based off of Kingdom Hearts. And then it's got all the masks too. It's so cool. So excited on that one. And then somehow I realized that I did not have artwork for this anime. And so the moment I saw this Haikyuu, I was like, I have to get that because I've actually seen this artwork online for years. I don't have anything Haikyuu other than I have a Tonica and Yamaguchi figures, and I have actually a towel with Yamaguchi's face on it and a little Asahi, like a little one that you put on like the edge of your cup. So I have some figures for Haikyuu, but nothing poster wise. And I did not realize that I didn't have any posters until I saw it. And I was like, hold the phone. And so I had caught up with One Piece at that time, and I was watching Haikyuu to catch up because the new movie had just came out not that long ago. So it was one of those things where I was like, dude, I have to get it. I'm rewatching Haikyuu. So I was like, I couldn't pass it up. From there, we move on to Anime Magic, which is also in Chicago. So at this point, if you have noticed, I have been to Chicago a total of 3 times in the last 30 months. These cons were happening like every other weekend. It was just nonstop, just con after con after con. And this one, I was like, I couldn't pass it up because this is another con where it was only one voice actor. And this is the final Kingdom Hearts voice actor that I got to meet. So last time I left on a high note with Kirk Thornton, Syax. This next voice actor, I had gotten one of the best. I say this with everyone that like puts on the performance. I'm like, it's the best one. This is the best one. This is definitely up there of one of the best requests and the best person. Just like, I'm not going to say, obviously, like, I'm not trying to play favorites. It sounds like I'm trying to play favorites. I'm telling you right now, I'm not trying to play favorites. But this is one of those like high up there interactions. I did flub this a little bit, which I will explain. So the voice actor I got to meet was Ben Diskin, who does the voice of young Xehanort. Now, I only made this realization the other day when I was doing a TikTok live. When I was setting up the shelf up here, I was reorganizing it, make it look all like nice and pretty, which let me show off my hard work here. So I was showing off some of these autographs on TikTok live because I was like, oh, I'm going to record this video that I'm recording right now to talk about, his autographs. So a thing about the character files is in the back, there is an index that has all the characters and it tells you where to find their pages. Now, usually what I do is I put a little piece of paper to mark, like as a bookmark, to know where the page is for that voice actor. So when I get up to them in line, I can open the book and be like, hi, talk to them for a little bit, be like, hey, can I get you to sign the book? So the page that I got Ben Diskin to sign does have young Xehanort. It has his Kingdom Hearts 3 model, but it's not his Dream Drop Distance model. you know, or the one that we saw in Kingdom Hearts 3, like at the end, like an older, like teen Xehanort, teen young Xehanort, whatever that version is. It didn't click for me for some reason, because when I looked in the index, I was like, Xehanort is page. Is 205, right? 205. And in my mind, I was like, oh, of course, because it wouldn't be old man Xehanort, because that's under Master Xehanort. So young Xehanort wouldn't have like his own page. Like, it's Master Xehanort. Master Xehanort is the one that gets like the full page spread. But if we look over here on between Yen Sid and Yuffie is young Xehanort. Young Xehanort. Which, again, Ben Diskin voiced both characters, but I am so incredibly stupid to not have realized that, of course, if they're gonna put pages dedicated to every character, that young Xehanort would have his own section. And if anything, this would have been the page I wanted to get autographed, but I was stupid and just assumed that he wasn't there without thinking about it, and I just had him sign that page, which again, not a big deal because that's still his character, but because Ansem was able to sign in the bad guy section, Sayax was able to sign in the bad guy section, so it would have been nice to flip to go from one real organization to the next real organization. So that's where I flubbed. I will 100% admit that that was my fault. Now, the thing that after everything that happened between Fan Expo Chicago and Canada, I'm happy that this was the worst thing to happen at this convention. I talked to Ben Diskin. Great guy, by the way. Great guy. They're all, like I said, they're all great. They're all great. But Ben Diskin, he knew the whole entire Kingdom Hearts lore. But here's the video.
Okay, first of all, I did have friends. It was a tragic backstory. How dare you? Woody from freaking Toy Story? Shut up. Jerk.
Now, here's the thing. I only told him to say shut up to Woody, right? He, being the knowledgeable talent that he is, because again, it's understandable that most people wouldn't know the plot because there's so much to go through. He went the extra mile with the Dark Road reference, and I was like, I cannot believe this. Because it's like the scenario with Max Middleman and Ray Chase, where I was like, I was just aiming for a simple shut up, and then I got so much more out of it. And the fact is, not only did we get the Woody backfire, we also got the Dark Road mention, and that is just so cool. That is so cool for him to just know that and to just throw that in there without even me requesting it. I got to talk to him for a little bit. He used to be not as, like, he had just played like a few games prior to being young Xehanort, and then when he came up to, or I think he said he was offered to do young Xehanort in Kingdom Hearts, and then he was just like, who? Like, he didn't know who young Xehanort was, because I think he'd only played like the first few games. So, but then after he had done his role as Xehanort, he went through and he played everything. He actually said he met his wife through Kingdom Hearts, which is pretty cool. So he said that his favorite games were KH2, Birth by Sleep, and Kingdom Hearts 3. So it was, I'm thinking on it now. He says he'd only played Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 prior to playing young Xehanort, but has then since played all the games after his voice role of young Xehanort. For a voice actor to end on, I honestly couldn't have picked a better one. You know, the most memeable moment in all of Kingdom Hearts 3, and I was able to just tack on more to that moment. It makes this project so much more fun. There was a moment, I'll admit, when I was downtrodden. I was like, what am I doing with my life? Like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I doing this? It's just so much effort, and it's like it's fun, but like should I go through all this effort of like trying to do this, and then the moments with like Ben Diskin happens, and then I'm right back up on my high. I'm just like, all right, yeah, this is great, this is great. And it's like I can't forget, because that was the one thing too, is while I was going through all those like rough moments and like negative thoughts, this is before I got to Anime Magic. I would just rewatch the Ray Chase Max Millman video, and I'm like, this is what I strive for. This is what makes it worth it to get this type of content, and the edits that I'm able to make out of it. And even if I get discouraged, I'm just like, I know it's not always gonna be this way. It's not always gonna be this way. And then Ben Diskin, being the MVP that he is, you know, like I said, after 2 cons of kind of like being a little shoddy because of just unforeseeable circumstances, just able to like lift my spirits back up. On top of that, this is the one con that I went crazy with the prints. I bought so many prints this con. If it wasn't apparent that I have a problem, you will very much see that on full display with these next ones I'm about to show you. Unlike the previous cons, I didn't see any Kingdom Hearts stuff. This one I did see Kingdom Hearts stuff. And not only did I see a little bit of Kingdom Hearts stuff, or like the Zelda one that was a nod to Kingdom Hearts, there was a booth. Rose Fin Apple offered some of the best selection, had so many options. I was like a kid in a candy store with their booth. We got Kyrie looking up at a star. We've got Scold and Ephemer, which love when Union Cross characters get representation. Love it. I love it. Golden Ephemer. As you can see, the last batch of conventions I went to, I got these Union Cross posters that are behind me. I had the one Strelitzia one that I got from Anime Midwest. Love it, love it. Speaking of Strelitzia, we got another one of Strelitzia in a unique dress that's not her normal dress, but it's okay because it's Strelitzia and that's all that matters. One of my, top 3 favorite characters of all time in Kingdom Hearts. And then we got this really badass, like shiny young Xehanort in the darkness. This little like evil, maybe Baldur, who knows, but this was just fantastic. Beautiful. And then we got Elrena, which Union Cross character, I don't feel like I've ever seen a single Larkscene print. Moving forward though, Baldur, I would have never in a million years would have expected any Dark Road characters to have merch, but they pulled through with the Baldur, and I was like, oh my, Baldur is, if there was a character to have artwork of, it would definitely be Baldur. So cool, so cool. And then this badass looking young Xehanort. Hell yeah, Keyblade, heart, and everything. If it wasn't for the fact that I was already getting Ben Diskin's autograph in the book, I would have definitely had him sign this as well, because this is just, I really liked the way Rosefin Apple went about designing young Xehanort here. And then Leslie, for the Kingdom Hearts prints, because I have more than just this. It's just the rest for Kingdom Hearts. This badass Aqua one. Love it, love it, love it. From there, got this dope Pikachu print that has shocking face Pikachu, the flying Pikachu, and surfing Pikachu. Now, the thing is that I wouldn't say I'm the biggest Pikachu fan. I don't have an issue against Pikachu. Like, my favorites are like Rayquaza, Sandshrew, Chimchar, or Infernape. So I have more, like, there are other Pokemon other than Pikachu that I like. But this was so nostalgic to see the surfing and flying Pikachu, which is artwork I never see like represented a lot. Of course, shocking face Pikachu. Love shocking face Pikachu. And then I got this one. This one was just too cool. It was also one of those deals where it was like buy 2 get 1 free. There was another one that I had bought for my roommate, and then I also picked up this One Piece one, which I don't think I was really gonna get this One Piece one, but because I had the free one, of course I couldn't pass it up, because I was like, well, if I had to get a free one, I'm definitely gonna get a One Piece one. And then my roommate got a Kill la Kill. That puts a wrap on Anime Magic in Chicago. Now, this next convention, I didn't get to meet any Kingdom Hearts voice actors, but since I'm already on the topic of conventions and I've already talked about the really cool Comic Con, I wanted to bring up Monroe City Comic Con, or I think it's just Monroe Comic Con. And so I was looking at the list and I was like, there's some Yu Yu Hakusho talent, like English voice actors that are going to be here that I never see. This con, Monroe Comic Con, had the voice of Botcon and Genkai. The thing that got me is that I've lived in Michigan all my life, and the biggest con in Michigan is Youmacon, which is the convention that I met Richard Epcar, the voice of Ansem Seeker of Darkness, at. There's also Metro City Comic Con, which I would say ranks number 2. For anime conventions, it's Youmacon. For general Comic Con conventions, it's Motor City Comic Con. And then I recently discovered Grand Rapids Comic Con, which is where I met Hinan Walsh, the voice of Alice. And then Motor City Comic Con is where I met Ian Sinclair, John Ratzenberg, Zachary Levi, and I tried to meet Tom Kenny, but couldn't meet Tom Kenny. Really cool Comic Con in Flint. Didn't know that existed until my friend had brought it up. So that was completely off my radar as far as I was aware. But this other one, Monroe Comic Con, never heard of it. Never even heard of it. I feel like the Flint one I hadn't heard of because it was relatively new. Like it had just maybe was in its first or second year. This other one, been around for 12 years. How I had not heard about it once, I have no idea. But for some reason, in little Monroe, the it's not a very it's not a tourist city. It's like very just out of the way type city. And for some reason they had this convention and they got the voices of Botcon and Genkai to show up, and it was just insane because I was just like, what? That's so crazy. Like to pull both of those voice actors is just like, it's like I have to go, I have to meet them. Like when am I ever gonna meet, like I could very much meet the 4 main guys in Yu Yu Hakusho, but like Botcon and Genkai, that's such a rare occurrence, so I had to go. And I met both of them, I got to talk to both of them, had great conversations with both. I got both of their autographs. I had a Botcon print that I bought from a previous Youmacon, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, that had Cynthia Cran's signed. And then I didn't have anything Genkai because I can never find dedicated Genkai artwork. And so that was one of the things I was excited about, kind of what I mentioned about Ian Sinclair finding artwork for characters that I don't see a lot of representation for. That when I went to Linda Young's table, I was like, okay, I'm going to get something Genkai related. And there was this amazing metal print, and it had Genkai and it had the 3 opponents that she went against within the Dark Tournament. And I had her sign it, and it had like a little quote, and also Cynthia Cran's also wrote bingo on the Botcon print. I think as much as I show appreciation to the Kingdom Hearts voice actors, I showed even more, I wouldn't say I showed more appreciation, but I showed the same level of appreciation for the Yu Yu Hakusho ones, because Yu Yu Hakusho, like I said, was my #1 favorite anime for 20 years. Until I caught up on One Piece, and now One Piece, I'm like disgustedly addicted to One Piece. I'm fully caught up in the manga. I know everything now. But Yu Yu Hakusho was like, that was such a big part of my life for so long. And so to be able to like tell them like, hey, 20 years of my life, like this show has been just so amazing. And the voice, that's the thing, is the English voice cast does such an amazing job. Like it truly makes you feel like these are people that you've have met at some point in your life. So it's so relatable to connect with these characters, which is not something I say often. It's very rare that I feel like I can connect with a fictional character. The English cast of Yu Yu Hakusho does a phenomenal job at it. So in the beginning of this video, I said I was aiming for Kingdom Hearts voice actors, Blood Blockade, Battlefront voice actors, Final Fantasy X, and now that I have 2 Yu Yu Hakusho voice actors, I'm like, well, now I have to get the Yu Yu Hakusho voice actors and add it to the list. But yeah, that was my recent stint of conventions, all the voice actors that I've met, all the stories, the memories, the ups, the downs. That was something. I'm sure you could tell based off of my facial expressions and the tone of my voice how much those 2 cons, specifically Fan Expo Canada, broke me. Hi, how's it going? So there ended up being some updates to this video. Initially, when I recorded the first part, I recorded this back in, I want to say, September or October time. And I thought that I would be able to get it edited and posted before Halloween. As you can see, that did not happen. A lot of things got in the way, and I'm posting this literally on like the very last day of 2024. I've gone to a few more cons. Monroe City Comic Con was in September. So the last con I went to was in September, Monroe City Comic Con. And then I didn't go to another con for about 2 months. And I was like, okay, well, whatever cons I go to in those 2 months, I'll just make like a third video and I'll add them to it. From what I'm seeing currently, I don't think that there's going to be another con for a while. So I was like, oh, I don't want to make a part 3 and then forget all this stuff that just happened, months and months ago. I want it while it's still pretty fresh in my mind. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do an additional recording and add it on to the previous one. All right, so 3 cons. 3 cons I went to. So the first con was Youmacon 2024. So we've officially gone full circle because the very first con that I ever got an autograph from was Youmacon 2023 with Richard Epcar. So I actually didn't get any signatures at this convention. I didn't even get to meet anybody at this convention. I just went to this convention. The reason I'm mentioning it is because I actually ran a panel for the very first time. It was a Kingdom Hearts themed panel, Kingdom Hearts Wackadoodle Trivia. I just did it live with like an actual audience. So Youmacon is a con that does Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I think I put in for either Thursday or Friday. With Thursday being Halloween, I was like, I don't know who's going to show up. I don't know if maybe there's going to be a lot of people that show up because Thursday is the day that a lot of people go to get their badges. So I was like, I don't know, maybe people will be picking up their badges and then they'll swing by and come and hang out. Or maybe Halloween is like really popping on the first day and everyone's just there hanging out because, it's an anime convention. So I would say in total, there was about, I want to say like 15 people who showed up. Nobody knew anything about my channel or anything like that. They just saw Kingdom Hearts and they're like, oh, that sounds like fun. I'm going to show up. I reached out to a handful of the artists that I've actually mentioned within these videos. We had Nim's Draws, Rosefin Apple, and the third artist was actually Kelly Nicole. So it's Oops by Kelly Nicole. Now, I hadn't shown any previous Oops by Kelly Nicole artwork, but Kelly Nicole is a fellow content creator. I reached out to her and I was like, hey, do you have anything Kingdom Hearts related that you'd be willing to like provide as like a prize or the trivia? Because I was actually giving out prizes, different types of prizes, all Kingdom Hearts related. So between Nims, Rosefin Apple, and Kelly, I was able to get an assortment of prints, some keychains, charms. Kelly provided some sea salt ice cream shaped water bottles, which is pretty cool. And then I also had some like additional little figurines, the ones that are up there within the case. I found some duplicates from like forever ago, so I threw some of those in. I also had some of the blind box keychains. Also added those in as well as prizes. I was like, you know what? It would be a pretty cool idea to reach out to these artists and see if they would be willing to do some sort of collab. Because honestly, if I were to take any sort of collab with any sort of business, I would rather honestly just stick with artists and just promote artists. As you can see from my background, I fucking love the Artist Alley and I love artwork. It's just the key to my heart. Some like nice ass artwork for future cons, because I do plan to do more panels. I'm thinking about maybe doing like a bit of a circuit when I go there and do like multiple panels in one convention. Because if I'm already going to be at a convention for an autograph signing, then I was like, oh, I might as well just go and just host panels as well. The panel overall went pretty well. There was I've noticed that I probably need to tone down my questions when doing something like this within a convention setting, because it became very apparent when you're not quizzing Kingdom Hearts content creators that there are a lot more people who are not as in tune with the series, who might have not played all the games, maybe don't know all the little weird nuanced details. Honestly, going into it, I feel like most people didn't play any of the mobile games. Which, it's no shade to anybody if you didn't play them, because obviously they're not everyone's cup of tea. But I did have a lot of Union Cross questions lined up. I thought maybe a few people might know, but I don't think anybody knew anything about Union Cross. That was the one I would say unfortunate thing, is that I feel like I probably made it a little too difficult. So I think I might actually rebrand it to being like Critical Mode Kingdom Hearts trivia sort of event instead of just a wackadoodle one, because I also noticed that it was pretty difficult to do some of the wackadoodle questions. When I do wackadoodle Kingdom Hearts trivia online, it's a little easier for me to just be silly and goofy and ask like really random questions. In a live setting like that, it was like I didn't know what to ask. So I was like, you guys just guess who my favorite characters are, right? So it was like the first wackadoodle question, I'm like, who's my favorite organization member? And then the next one was like, who's my favorite Disney character? It became apparent that a lot of people were nervous to answer those questions because nobody wanted to look like they were, I guess, in the wrong. No one wanted to just be the person that said something and then it was like the completely incorrect answer, which is another thing I also noticed, is that a lot of people were very shy to participate because this didn't end up being like a specific 3 people out of the audience sort of deal. It was like a collaborative. I asked everybody in the audience, because since it was only 15 people in the audience, I just asked everybody at the same time. And I was like, just lift your hands up if you know the answer, and I'll call on you and I'll see if you got it right. I think ideally going in with like a panel of people would be better. It's just more so of having to plan that, in the sense that if I know anybody who's like within the area or anybody's like going to the convention, I can ask them and just be like, hey, do you want to be like a contestant on this trivia panel? It would make it a little bit easier to do more of a wackadoodle, but I think going critical mode and then implementing some sort of system like a buzzer system might be better for something like that for a con, because that way everybody can buzz in. But beyond that, we gave out a bunch of prizes. I ended up getting a lot more prizes from the artists than I was able to ask questions. We got a bunch of prizes left over, so definitely the next convention I'm going to carry over those prizes, and then additionally going to have to get some more prizes to replace the ones that I used for this panel. So if you are an artist and you make Kingdom Hearts artwork, charms, buttons, whatever, feel free to let me know. You can reach out to me to any of my socials or just leave a comment below on this video. But yeah, we can work together and we can spread around your awesome merchandise. And then on top of that, getting the word out for your artwork and your shops and whatnot. I always love being able to, to be able to just do something for all angles of the community. Usually it's mostly I just provide video content for people, but then there's also like, I guess the shut up requests also fall in within the video content, but that I feel like is in its own sort of subsection, because like there's the edits that I make and the informational videos, but then now you have like Ben Diskin telling freaking Woody from Toy Story to shut up, and then you have the Master of Master and Lushu telling each other to shut up. That is in itself like its own unique sort of contribution to the community. And then on top of that, the artists that I enjoy buying stuff from and enjoy displaying on my wall, I can give them more of a platform to be able to show off their stuff to a whole other group of people that might not be like native to wherever that artist originates from, right? Because if you don't go to a convention in that artist's vicinity, you wouldn't know anything about this artist, right? So if I'm going around to all these different cons and I have a little bit of everybody's work with me, that's promotion right there, able to like, you know, let people know about your shop and your socials and all that stuff. And then on top of that, the people who attend the trivia, they also get some cool stuff in the process. So they also will get, you know, to walk away with a neat print or a button or whatnot. I think overall it's a win-win. It very much felt like it, you know, we were able to essentially help each other out, which was really, really cool. But yeah, I'm thinking about doing a trivia panel for sure with my like circuit idea of panels. I'm still workshopping the other two. I would definitely let you know if you follow any of my socials. So like this one in particular, I posted on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Oh, and in Twitter too. So if you follow any of those socials, I didn't have Blue Sky or Threads at the time, so I will definitely post on those as well now that I have accounts on those, which by the way, make sure to follow those accounts if you haven't been already. So I will definitely, like I said, keep you guys updated whenever the next convention I'm ready to go to, when I have something lined up, and you'll be the first ones to know if you follow any of my socials. Although I didn't meet anybody at Youmacon, I did walk away with a handful of prints. Unfortunately, I can't show any of the prints because they're all hanging up in the other room. I will say that they are not Kingdom Hearts related, more One Piece related prints. So the first one I got, I had to get it. I couldn't pass this up. It was of Law and Beppo. Now, I love Beppo. Beppo is like one of my all-time favorite One Piece characters. Not my number one all-time. I would say he's definitely top 3 for sure. But I never see any artwork with Beppo in it. And the moment I saw Beppo, I was just like, I have to get it. I have to get it. And where it's currently, so in the living room, I have like a One Piece dedicated section. Since Law is flipping the bird, I put him next to artwork that I got of some of the Straw Hats just like chilling, and he's just out here just like flipping the bird straight to them, and I'm like, that's too perfect. That's like such a Law thing for him to do. But yeah, no, I was really excited to find something with Beppo. I was like, I honestly would have been okay if it was just Beppo by himself, but you know, Law being on there too was also pretty dope. I can't pass that up. I don't think I have anything else with Law on it. Actually, I didn't have anything with Law on it, but then I got more Law prints, which I will show you here shortly. So from there, I got 3 prints actually from this next artist. It was this really cool shot of Thriller Bark. It's where Robin, Zoro, Usopp, Frankie, and Chopper are all lined up to ready to take on Oars. And it's got like a bunch of the zombies in the front as well. I thought it was so cool because I never see anything dedicated to Thriller Bark. And I would say, honestly, Thriller Bark has to be within, I would say, my top 5. I honestly would put Thriller Bark in my top 5 arcs of all time. It was pretty cool to get something dedicated to Thriller Bark. On top of that, I also got this artwork, which is, it's like the piece de resistance at the end of Thriller Bark. Then nothing happened. Nothing happened. This was so cool. Like, there was no way I could have passed this up. The moment I laid eyes on this, I was like, I have to acquire this. I have to add it to the wall. It's probably hands down like one of my favorite Zoro moments. Like that honestly is probably like in the top of all One Piece moments. That entire scene right there. And then lastly, we have this print. Oh, this print. The Dressrosa. What a ride. What a ride you were, Dressrosa. The moment I saw this, so this would mark my other Law print. Dressrosa, top 3. It was my second all-time favorite arc. This moment, even though Corazon was not in the anime for more than a few episodes, this man stole everyone's hearts. This moment was such a pivotal moment for young Law. Everything about it was just stunning. And honestly, another thing where I didn't see much in the way of representation or Dressrosa, I feel like a lot of the artwork I tend to see, it leans more so on the characters themselves, which is fine. You know, I have no issues with that whatsoever. But it's always cool to find artwork that's specifically taking a piece from within one of the arcs and like presenting it for all to see. And I honestly, like the Thriller Bark, the Dressrosa ones are perfect. Compliments to the chef for those ones. All right, so on top of also getting prints, I've also picked up a handful of figures while I'm out and about at conventions. I don't tend to talk about them in these updates because usually they're not really relevant. Well, I say they're not really relevant. I also talk about prints that aren't Kingdom Hearts, so I guess technically I could be talking about the figures. I guess it's kind of too late because I haven't started. So I wanted to talk about this figure because it is Kingdom Hearts. It's the first Kingdom Hearts figure that I was able to find going to any of these conventions, and that is the Bring Arts Halloween Town Sora. How fitting that on Halloween, when I went to Youmacon, I was able to find this Sora. So I normally don't spend more than like $40 for a figure. If it's like a figure that I almost never see, sometimes I'll spend $50. This is one of those exceptions. I never see Bring Arts figures on top of being $50, which is insane because I even double checked it before I bought this figure, and this figure is going for like $75 to like $150 online. This is not a very common thing to come across. So I was like, you know what? I will spend the $50 for it. But yeah, just a cool thing. Just a super cool thing to come across. All right, so moving on from there were 2 other conventions that I went to, and I did get autographs. Unfortunately, I didn't get any videos from either of these conventions. You know, sometimes it works out, you get videos, sometimes you don't. It all depends on if the talent are doing videos, if they're taking video requests. So the first convention that I went to was Grand Rapids Comic Con. Now, for those of you who watched part 1, this is a con that I went to during part 1. That's where I met Hinton Walsh, who is the voice actor of Alice. So the odd thing about the Grand Rapids Comic Con is that so they host, I think they host like 2 or 3 events. I'm not entirely sure, but the first one was in Kalamazoo, Michigan, which is close to Grand Rapids, but it's not Grand Rapids. This one was actually in Grand Rapids. So that was like a weird sort of thing. I guess it's pretty cool that you do sort of expand it to different areas. So, you know, people who aren't close to Grand Rapids could still go to it, but it feels weird that it's called Grand Rapids and it's not in Grand Rapids. But, you know, whatever they want to call it, whatever they want to do, you know, it's up to them. So the first person that I saw at Grand Rapids Comic Con was none other than the king himself. It was Mr. Jack Skellington, the Pumpkin King. The voice actor of Jack is Chris Sarandon, and he is the original voice. Like, he is the voice actor from the movie as well. And so I went up to his line, you know, I met him, I got to have a conversation with him, and I asked him specifically, I was like, how do you feel about The Nightmare Before Christmas being included within Kingdom Hearts? He said that it was really cool that Jack was able to, you know, grow from his role within just the movie and be able to be expanded within the like further Disney universe, because initially Nightmare Before Christmas wasn't even affiliated with Disney, because he even said it himself. He was like, yeah, they thought that kids would be scared. They went under like a secondary company, Touchstone Pictures, and so it was supposed to be Disney, but not really Disney, but Disney owns Touchstone Pictures, but they're like, no, we're just going to put it under that brand and not affiliate it with us. And then everyone loves The Nightmare Before Christmas. And then now Disney's just like, oh, well, actually that was us. That was us. And so Chris just thought it was cool that he was able to grow with Jack and then be able to do more projects with Jack. You know, he really had that like connection with Jack. You could tell he was really like appreciative to be included in, you know, the project. So after meeting Chris Sarandon, I moved down to the next voice actor, which I had no idea this voice actor had such a resume of like characters. Let me do a quick rundown for this next guy's role, just to show how cool of a roster he has of characters. All right, so we got Hermes from Futurama, Ollie Williams from Family Guy, Static Shock from the Static Shock Show, Samurai Jack, the Green Lantern, Jon Stewart, Bulby Stroganovsky, Osmosis Jones, and Wilt from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. So this voice actor was none other than Phil Lamar. All these amazing roles, honestly, such a big fan of a bunch of these roles, but that's not what I was there for. I wasn't there for any of those roles. I was there for his Kingdom Hearts role, which was Captain Phoebus from the Hunchback of Notre Dame world in Dream Drop Distance. Now, some of you guys might know that The Hunchback of Notre Dame is one of my all-time favorite movies, and this marks the first voice actor I've been able to meet to do one of the roles from The Hunchback, which was pretty cool. As far as I'm aware though, I don't know if I'll be able to meet any of the other voice actors who did the other Hunchback characters. I think most of them don't really go to cons from what I remember. So this might potentially be the one and only person I get, which to be honest, if I only get one voice actor, I'm content with that. All right, and then the last voice actor I met at Grand Rapids Comic Con was actually another member of the Teen Titans. So in part 1, I met Hynden Walsh, which I just mentioned a few minutes ago, and I also met Tara Strong at C2E2. Hynden Walsh does the voice of Starfire, Tara Strong does the voice of Raven, and then to add to the collection, the voice actor I met was none other than Cyborg himself, Kari Payton, and he was none other than Wasabi from the Big Hero 6 world in Kingdom Hearts 3. He was really cool. We got to have a small conversation. He also mentioned something that a handful of the other voice actors also mentioned. He loved being a part of the production of Kingdom Hearts. He says he hadn't played any of the games himself, but like he knew people who did. But I guess there's something, either Square Enix or Disney, or I'm not sure what studio does all like the voice work stuff. But he was telling me that it's like he loved working with them. He had a lot of fun. And I remember specifically, Maurice LaMarche also said the same thing. He's like, oh, I had a great time. It was so much fun. It makes me really curious on like what the recording process is like. I did get a little bit of a sneak peek from the next person that I met, so I'll save that for then. But it makes me really wonder, like really curious. I wonder what a day behind the scenes at Disney Square Enix is like, you know, working on Kingdom Hearts for when it comes to being a voice actor. All right, so that puts an end the Grand Rapids Comic Con, the number 2 Grand Rapids Comic Con, the second one for this year. So moving on to the very final convention of 2024, I made my way back to Columbus for GalaxyCon Columbus. I have some words about GalaxyCon Columbus. Here's the thing. GalaxyCon Columbus was fine. I really honestly had, no real major issues. The only thing is that I feel like the convention could benefit from a larger venue. There was a couple Kingdom Hearts voice actors and a couple non-Kingdom Hearts voice actors that I wanted to meet. I prioritized the Kingdom Hearts related voice actors first and was able to meet one out of the two that I wanted to meet, and unfortunately wasn't able to meet the second one because the line was just so incredibly long, which I don't blame. Like I said, anybody involved within the convention themselves, the talent or whatnot, it was a very packed venue. I just feel like they definitely could benefit from having a larger area, because this is actually in the same convention center that I met Master of Masters, Luxu, Simba, Hercules, because I think it's affiliated with Animate Columbus, GalaxyCon, because I think GalaxyCon is the one that runs Animate, and they do like a handful of other conventions as well. I honestly feel like GalaxyCon Columbus has gotten, probably because this is the first time I've gone to any of the conventions I've never gone to a GalaxyCon. This is the first GalaxyCon that I've attended, which is pretty crazy because I've gone to like multiple fan expos, but somehow this is the only GalaxyCon that I've gone to. Well, I guess technically Animate would be considered a GalaxyCon, but Animate wasn't like, I think it was in the second year. GalaxyCon, I think, has been going on for a while now. So it ended up getting to the point where I couldn't get into one of the voice actors' lines because it kept getting capped. And I think a lot of that had to do was because of the tight space they had everybody in. So I would I would come back and check every once in a while. The line would never get uncapped. I had a friend who wanted to meet the same voice actor, non-Kingdom Hearts voice actor that I wanted to meet, and they tried to get into their line, had no luck whatsoever. They were able to get into like another non-Kingdom Hearts voice actors line, and they were like, I was in that line for 3 hours, which is crazy to me. I believe I've said it already earlier within the video. Never waited more than like an hour and a half at most for a voice actor. Like usually I think an hour at most. They waited in that line for 3 hours, and it was for Eric Val, the voice actor of Sanji from One Piece, and he does a bunch of other voices, but that's the one that I remember him off the top of my head. I think definitely if I had to say anything about GalaxyCon Columbus, I hope that they look into some sort of larger arrangement. But yeah, I don't know. It felt very compact, and it also made me start to realize that I was like, oh, if I'm gonna meet like multiple big named talents, I need to do multiple days for some of these cons. Unfortunately, the one that I wasn't able to meet was Roger Craig Smith, which is unfortunate because that I think is the third time now that I missed out meeting Roger Craig Smith. Yeah, because he was supposed to be at Fan Expo Chicago and Fan Expo Canada, and I missed him at both. And then this was supposed to be the third con that I was hopefully going to catch him at, because at this con, like I said, there's only 2 voice actors. It was Roger Craig Smith and another voice actor. And unlike Rob Paulson, where after the third attempt I finally got to meet him, Roger Craig Smith unfortunately slipped out of my grasp for the third time. So hopefully if I do get to meet him for the 4th time, I make it like a priority to meet him and get his autograph. The other voice actors that I wanted to meet were Chris Sabat. I said I was doing the Yu Hakusho thing, and he does Kuwabara. So I wanted to get his signature as Kuwabara. My friend wanted to get him to sign as Zoro. Unfortunately, neither of us were able to get autographs because his line was constantly capped, just like Roger Craig Smith's line. The other person I wanted to meet was John DiMaggio, who does the voice of Wakka and Kamari in Final Fantasy X. Because now that I have that Jet autograph, I was like, okay, I want to get the other voice actors to sign and get like their autograph. So luckily, I did get to meet one voice actor at this convention, and that was none other than Jonathan Freeman, the voice of Jafar himself. But yeah, I was able to have a short conversation with John. He was really cool, really nice guy, which is so crazy because it's like Jafar is very much opposite from how he is as a person. He actually gave me behind the scenes sort of the tidbit. I guess when they record, he had one earbud in one ear for like the English notes, and then another one in the other ear for the Japanese notes, which I thought was really interesting because it's like he can't speak Japanese, but I think it's more so in the fact that like the Japanese representative has to hear the audio recording and I guess they want to make sure that it fits with the tone, making sure that he's giving him like the correct direction and like maybe being like, hey, be a little bit more like this in this scene or be a little bit more like that in this scene. He also said that the book was really cool. He said that he had a lot of different books with Jafar in it, and he was like kind of surprised. He's like, oh, I'm surprised I haven't come across this one before. So additionally, John Freeman also gave me a parting gift for meeting him, and it was a sticker of Jafar. It would be pretty cool if more voice actors had like little stickers or little buttons or doodads like this they were able to hand out to people who came up to see them. Additionally, he also had this one. He was like, I made a custom made one because Jafar doesn't seem like a very Christmas dude, and he's like, we made one where it was all snow and he's got his Christmas sweater and whatnot. I thought it was pretty funny. My goal is to eventually get like a sticker book that I can like put stickers in it, and then the one where it's like reusable stickers so I can keep moving them around and whatnot to reorganize. But yeah, I definitely, as soon as I get that sticker book, I'm definitely going to put those stickers right in there. And so additionally, because I have a problem, I bought more One Piece prints. So the first print that I have isn't even actually a print, and I didn't know this. It is actually like a folder. It was too perfect because I'm caught up in the manga, and so seeing this was so much more special to me. The timing is too perfect. Yeah, but this is not even a print. It's a folder. So you can put papers and stuff in it. So I'm definitely going to hang it up as a poster. Now, moving on, we have another 3-print combo from the same artist. This one, oh my God. I almost didn't even get this because I didn't know he had this as an option. It was the very last thing that I saw. And the moment I saw it, my eyes lit up and I was like, oh. So going on the same theming with the previous print, we have another Robin print. And it is her monster form. I kid you not, when she went into this form, I was just, oh my God, it was so cool. It was so cool. I love this form. This is honestly one of my favorite forms that any Straw Hat member has taken on. I would honestly say it's pretty equivalent to Gear 5. I think Gear 5 is top tier. There's no way you can really top Gear 5, but like monster form Robin, like come on, that's so sick. I love it. I fucking love it. Staying within the Wano train, we also have this one. But yeah, I thought this one was pretty cool because on top of the fact that it's just, again, a moment from within the series, he did such a fantastic job at replicating Oda's style. Like, this looks like legit official artwork. Dude, it's so good. It's so fucking good. Dude, artists are so cool. They're so talented. But yeah, no, this is dope. This is dope. All right. And then from there, we go to, I can't remember if this is during Egghead. I think this might actually be during Egghead. This is either post Wano or Egghead. But we've got the second piece of artwork with Beppo on it. I would say that Beppo was like the main reason to get this. It was partial, but not the main. I thought this was pretty cool. So now I have another piece of artwork with featuring Law. This moment was pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie. The Heart Pirates versus the Blackbeard Pirates. And also like this guy down here also doesn't get like a lot of representation in art. So that's pretty cool that he's there too. I think you could say probably the same thing with Van Augur. Van Augur doesn't get a lot of representation either. Not to say that I'm like the biggest fan of either of those characters, but it's just cool to see characters who don't normally get artwork made of them, you know, even if I'm not a fan of them. Just to see them getting represented. If only Beppo was transformed. If Beppo was in his Sulong form, this would have been top tier. Not to say that this isn't top tier, it would have been exceedingly top tier. So it's already top tier. This is amazing. Don't get me wrong. This is an amazing print. But if we had Sulong Beppo on this, ooh, that's all I can say. Hooey. I have not seen anything with Sulong Beppo on it, and I would just fucking love it. I would love it. The Sulong Beppo stands on business. He motherfucking stands on business. But yeah, so that concludes this update. Take it away, me with shorter hair from the past. So I've yapped on long enough. I was kind of hoping that this video wasn't going to be as long as the first update, but I'm looking at my recording and I'm like, maybe I can edit this down, but I don't know. I yapped on for a lot longer than I thought I was gonna yap on for. Well, I appreciate nonetheless, if you stuck around to the very end, tolerated all my deviations and my inability to just stay on track with a single topic, thank you ultimately for watching, for contributing with just the channel in itself, for just watching everything. It means a lot because this is really something that I'm passionate about and that I want to grow and I want it to flourish. And so I'm really trying to be out here providing the most unique types of content that I possibly can that has, you know, the best chance to grow, because it's like I'm doing stuff that like nobody else is doing for the most part. You know, obviously it's like to some vein not super unique, but I'm just like trying to be as much of a just wild card when it comes to what I upload and the types of content that I upload, to just make like a good variety of options to pick from for Kingdom Hearts. So it's not just the same type of it's not going to get stale. It's not going to get stale here. I promise that it will never get stale. I'm always thinking of like bigger and bigger projects. On that note, also follow the Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitch. All the links will be in the description along with the Patreon link. And there's also a Ko-Fi link if you'd rather support via Ko-Fi. On that note, thank you. Pictures of all the autographs will be on Instagram. If you join Patreon, you can actually see the videos and the autographs a month early before everyone else. So that's a cool perk of joining the Patreon. Also, anything that I can't post on YouTube, like copyrighted material, also gets posted on the Patreon. There's some stuff that I had worked on that I couldn't post anywhere, and so I was like, Patreon it is. So it exists on Patreon. There's actually like a compilation of all the videos I couldn't post that's on there. Yeah, I probably should stop talking. Yeah, if I don't stop talking, this is going to go on for so much longer. Okay, bye.